All right, TGIF, everybody, TGIF. It is Friday. It is Friday. It is Friday. I am your host from Crystal XO, and this, of course, is our Friday night Never Ever Mets recap. We hope that you guys are ready for a lively conversation. I'm going to bring my co-host in just a minute, but of course, we also have Coach Latonia, who's going to join us a little later in the evening after we talk a little bit about what happened today. Without further ado, you know what? Let me go ahead and get Scorpio Moe. Let's get Scorpio Moe in the building. What's good, Mo?
What's happening? What's happening? It's Friday, people. It's Friday.
Friday. Man, it has been a long week. It has been a long week. And when I tell you, my weekend is going to be longer, but it has been extremely long. This week has been a never ever ending week. Never ever ending. Never ever ever ending. We did. Yes. Hey, Druzy. Hey, Marriott. Yeah, so tonight, like I told everybody, we are going to have Coach Latonia is going to join us. But in order for Coach Latonia to get in here, we need you guys to go ahead and make sure that you like the broadcast
Yes.
so we can get her in here for some good conversation. I had a conversation with Taronda earlier this week, and a lot of you guys had a chance to see that. But I told her, in that conversation, I was like, I'm going to bring an actual therapist, coach on, because I just feel like the content and the issues that we are talking about in this series are things that need to be talked about with a professional, that outside, like a licensed professional, for real. And so that's why we are going to have Coach Latonia join us in just a bit. But I wanted to make sure that we got a chance to recap tonight's episode. Let us know in the chat on a scale from 1 to 5. What did you think of tonight's episode? A scale from 1 to 5. What did you think of tonight's episode? It started out with Taronda having the couples give their opinion on each other. I was not prepared for that.
Messy.
It's like either they're pressing them to have sex or talk about sex, or it's opportunity.
It's no way that could turn out good. It's
no way.
Not with that bunch anyway. It's no way. Because we got to remember, the episode before was the incident with, you know what I mean?
Right,
with
Diamond.
Dash.
Yes. Okay, you guys like this episode. Okay, 5, 4. Okay, people like this episode a lot. Okay,
I give it a 5.5.
You give it a 5.5?
Yeah, because they left us with the cliffhanger with
the people that we really want to know.
The stuff we really want to know. But I give it a 5.5.
Okay, 5.5 is good. That's good. Let me ask you, let's start with that, because to me it was like I wanted to talk a little bit more about why Diamond felt the need to bring those bones back to Shay and Josh. And obviously there was no substance to it because things kept on as usual. So what's your perspective on that?
It teeters in between just being messy and because they were the only ones that didn't have any drama.
Right.
So let me give them some drama.
Right.
That's number one. Then number two, who's to say the producers didn't have a hand in it?
That's true.
So, I'm in between those two, but it's like everybody else here is they done went at each other or went through something, but you guys didn't. So you know what? I'm gonna pull this out the bag and see how y'all deal with that. But I like them the best out of everybody, just to be honest with you.
You like Diamond and Aaron the best?
Oh,
Shay and Josh.
Hey.
Okay, I was going to say, whoa.
Oh, no. I like Shay and Josh the best. Okay. And I like the way how they jumped over that little hurdle.
They did. They jumped right over it. But you know what? He said something. What do you think about their dynamic? Their dynamic is so interesting because Shay acknowledged today in the conversation with the relationship therapist that she will cuss him out and she goes from 0 to 100 real quick. And then he's so calm that he was like, we've had a bunch of fights, like, it's going to be different this time. He's so just calm and easy. So I think that kind of balances her out because he just laughs about everything.
But that's what works. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like if he was let's say Chris or hell at this point even the other Aaron with the fingernails, like it doesn't work. You see what I'm saying? The only time I've seen any men or women, I just don't want to put it on the women. It could be the men that's just like rah, rah, rah. And the only way it works with a woman is if she's chill. And she and hopefully, you don't get to the point where you break that woman, but you see that it's affecting her. And I've seen this happen to guys in a later age.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's a conscious thing that bothers them in their spirit, but they realize like, yo, I'm hurting this woman. You and I have a friend that had to have this discussion with somebody.
Right.
And the fact that he did, I just, you don't like the fact that he hurt her, but he came to the conclusion he had to end the relationship because he was tired of hurting her. And that's kind of because they might have been tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the fact that you're tired, I guess you get some point you're tired of hurting her. It's kind of selfish, but you admit you were hurting her. So she's been tired.
She's been tired. Some women or some people have resigned themselves to being on the other end of hurt. And that's unfortunate. I really, for me, the jury is still out on them. I feel like there's a lot we don't understand about them because I still need to understand. I'm sorry to keep taking it back to the beginning, y'all, but I don't understand if y'all were if the chemistry is like that and you're that easy, then why 12 years? And if it is a vacation, then we need to talk about that. I just want to know what took them that long to meet. That makes no sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, that was hopefully we'll get that.
I'm hoping. I mean, we've been here a while, and I also feel like I don't feel like, I'm not really mad at I do think Diamond was being messy, but I also think that Josh was open to deal with Alexis. But I think that they were talking about, because I think anytime you're talking about a threesome, I think he probably was like, I don't know.
So that's been confirmed?
I don't know. I'm just saying, well, we saw some interaction in the hallway.
Okay. I keep forgetting that. Yeah,
production did show that. So there was something going on. And he admitted that they did have a conversation about a threesome. So anytime there's a conversation about a threesome and adults in the house and people in the hall, something was awry. But I feel like she probably, if he was okay with a threesome, maybe he was really trying to push for that as opposed to just, I don't know. But I think something happened.
I think he did.
Or something could have happened. Let's put it like that.
I think the man was trying to say no, and it was getting too loud in the room, and he went out in the hallway and had to tell her no again.
That is not what he said happened. He did not say that happened. He said...
We don't know what that man said.
Yes, he did. He told us last week. Well, he said last week that he knew that Alexis mentioned it. We don't know which of them brought it up, but it was mentioned, and that he told her that Shay would not be down for that. Come on, Mo. Don't make it seem like...
At that point, did she know she was getting kicked out?
She said she knew that they left the room. She woke up and they weren't.
No. I mean, kicked out the house.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. We don't know. But I think she did know. I'll say this. I think she did know that Dominique wasn't attracted to her. Because you remember how he was like...
Oh, okay.
I think he did realize that... I think she did realize that the man that she was meeting up with was not as into her, because I think that's why she was flirting with Greg with the hoochie daddy shorts. She was being very flirtatious, and I think it was clear that they didn't really have the connection, or maybe it was never one like they claimed.
So she was like, either way, I'm gonna get me some in this house.
Hey, why would you bring up talking about a threesome with another couple when you came there with a dude?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No, I'm only playing. I don't know what that man told that lady, but obviously it wasn't right because he had to sneak out in the hallway to do it. So.
He had to sneak out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And they did, and the production showed it that there's no way to do it. But I think that the reason I can't get on that bandwagon is just because I don't understand about the 12 years. To me, that's never going to be normal, ever. So I just can't really rock with them, even though they do seem to like each other a lot. I will say tonight, y'all don't beat me up, because beating me up has been a common thing recently. Y'all don't beat me up today. But today, on today's show, I actually liked Aaron, the way Aaron handled the situation with Diamond's daughter. I like that.
You know what? No. Well, they're gonna have to beat me up too, because
we're gonna stand in solidarity.
Yeah, because at first I was like, I was about to get on Diamond's daughter. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna give her the night, because she came in there with a little attitude.
Yeah.
But she surprised me. He surprised me. I give them that, and I really like that. I think production put them up to that though, because she turned around real quick. Unless they had an hour or 2 hour long conversation and they just edited it.
Maybe production puts them up to the other part.
Which one? What part?
Like maybe production told her to come in there and be skeptical.
Yeah, either way.
And maybe she really wasn't. You know what I mean? And I also say this. I think that I know from just talking to people, a lot of times when there's a woman that's single and she has children, the children are very protective of their mom. So I can understand woman, the children of the woman or the man, because trust me, it's the same way. Children of dads, especially daughters, very protective of their fathers. But I think that for the daughter to be skeptical in the beginning was normal, way more normal than the friend. Right. And I think that because he showed interest, genuine interest, he was patient and he was willing to have the conversation and understood where she would be a little bit skeptical. I applauded that. I really like that.
He said the right things too, and he asked her about what does she like.
Yeah,
like, that was dope. I like that.
I liked it a lot. Kudos to Aaron on that. I really like that. I actually, another thing I did not like, and I think it happens when you're young. You look at older people and you make fun of them, right? And then when you're older, you think young people don't know what they're talking about. Both sides, at the end of the day, you're going to be young at some point and you're going to be old at some point. Okay. So you make too many jokes, and trust me, before you know what happens, you turn around and you'll be the old man and the old woman in the house.
That's how it goes.
I think that sometimes people there's a saying that goes, youth is wasted on the young, right? And so I don't necessarily think that Diamond and Aaron are jealous of the younger people, because I don't know that you would be jealous of some of the things that they're going through.
Right.
But I do think that they're probably trying to put their experience
on everyone else.
Yes. But I don't think they're jealous. I think that's a really youthful attitude.
Right.
But I also don't think that you can, for Diamond and Aaron to be on that show and understand that there are going to be people in their early 30s that are the same age as their children. You can't totally disqualify their feelings and their experiences. That's wrong as well.
Don't treat them like they are adults.
Right. They are.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I just... Yeah, I didn't like the she old and jealous, but that is also what a young person thinks. You know what I mean? And then an older person, like, well, they don't know what they're talking about. I've been through all that. Like that's both sides. You know what I mean? Because if you keep waking up, laying down and getting up, as my granny would say, you gonna be on you. It's not Shannon Sharp's granny.
Every time you say my Shannon.
It's my granny. My granny did say that. You keep laying down and getting up. I used to get so angry when she would say that. It is live, Miss Pretty Amazing. You ask us, do you ask us that all the time? Yes, this is live. I see you. I
Yes.
see your comment. We are here. In fact, it's
I
so
seen your
live
profile
that
picture too.
you saw her profile picture.
Yeah.
Is that one of the ones you was checking out?
I wasn't check. At work, I got a bigger computer screen and I can actually see them.
But you did say that you were like, we got some attractive people in here.
No, we got some nice looking. We got a nice looking bunch in here,
Yeah.
and they're faithful. They tune in every week.
I appreciate that. We love you guys. We have a good time.
And some of them follow us on social media. So I just think that's super dope, man. I appreciate that.
Haitian Empress, ma'am. Ma'am.
Oh,
Ma'am. I understand and acknowledge what you have asked. I think we all saw a confessional shot that was quite alarming from the side view.
huh?
However, that is not going to be a point of conversation, at least not right now.
About the show?
No, she's talking about Josh's smile.
Oh.
Like Shanice said, that I like your smile. Yeah, no, I did see it. Noted.
Let me so with let's say if
Yeah,
I'm on Greg and Millie right now.
Yeah, let's go there. Yes.
Greg and Millie. Here's the thing. Like, I guess I like where it's going. Like,
how did it get there so fast?
I don't know. I've always have a problem with the now like you meet my approval, we can go to the boom boom room. Like, that bothers me. Just FYI.
What do you mean? Expand on that a bit.
I just don't like when some people treat that as a treat. Like you went, like to me, it goes both ways. You're not leaving it in the boom boom room and I deal with it and you come back and pick it up. We're going in there together. It's an exchange. We're not doing nobody. This is something we're doing together. Not you're doing me a favor.
Well, let me ask you. I've heard that argument, and I'll raise you this one. If that's the case, then why do men push for it so much harder than women?
Because they admit to it, they succumb to it. They want it, and you want men to be the hunter. He's hunting. It doesn't mean that she doesn't want to be hunted or she doesn't participate. I just don't like when women dangle it and be like, well, if you don't, I won't do this, and like it's candy or something, and I'm the only one that's eating. It's a fair exchange to me.
We're together.
I just
y'all. You know what, you all will move past the dental hygiene. And no, I do not suggest nor recommend the ATL fake veneer people. Haitian Empress. No. That is having some horrible repercussions in the community here, and we don't need anyone else succumbing to that. She asked, can someone hook Josh up with one of these ATL veneers, non-dentist? No. That would be a no. That could have worse. I mean, you don't just put a cap on a cavity. You don't just put a cap on decay. I don't want to do it. I want you to get some real dental work, cleaning, scraping,
pulling perhaps,
and replacing. But you don't just want to put a cap on it. You don't do that. You don't just put a cap on it. So, all right.
I'm glad they did. It seems like they're in a better space, and I like that.
I just need to understand. That's why we have Coach Latonia coming on. How did we get here so fast? Because she was angry. She seemed wounded. She was resentful. And then all of a sudden, it was just all smiles. And I understand we don't know what the timeline is, right, but I just kind of looking at them with the side eye with that.
Do you think it's possible that once he shared this story, they had a parallel, they would have something in that they could, this was, because I want to say the coach had said something. They have this commonality and they bonded. I don't want to say bonded over that, but she felt something that he felt, and they could just kind of rebuild from there. Is that possible or no?
It could be, but I just don't think that it would go that fast. And that her attitude seemed different. She was like, I think we're going. Yeah, you're right. She did make it seem like he was going to get a reward because, and it
Yeah,
felt like it was
like
because he knew her birthday this time.
well, let me say, could it be possible he already hit and that will change the attitude and they just making it seem like
That could have. Hey, all things are possible.
is that possible? I mean, we know they don't really always.
Because her attitude did seem like a 360, not just one, a whole. I was like,
See?
she seemed brighter and more bubbly. She didn't have the scowl.
That'll do it to you. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes
that will do it. But she did. So they act. You know what? Y'all will get off of the dental hygiene. They are still stuck. You know what?
What?
Excuse me.
See somebody, see Tamasha, thank you. That's what I think.
It sounds like he needs a bridge, implants for multiple teeth. Ma'am, because she got some. What? Is she saying what I think she's saying?
What? What?
What do you mean, Tamasha, because she got some facial? What are you saying?
Y'all are going in tonight. What the?
They are not letting go of this man's mouth. And I knew that was going to happen. I know the XO family. And when I saw that side view, when he smiled and turned his head to the side, I was like, they are going to let it go. I already know. It's been so many times something happens and I'm like, I'll think of something that you're going to get into or the family. And this is how y'all.
Well, I did have. Well, I'll text you that.
I know what it was.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Text it to me now. Text it to me now so I can know if it's the same thing.
You know what I saw.
I do, but I want you to text it.
Or you know what I heard.
Oh my God, he is silly. No, never that. No, the N word, yes, but I call everybody that, and that's one of my weaknesses. I won't say it on YouTube, but I'm quick to use the N word with among friends and family. Yeah, y'all are tripping. I don't think that's what it was. I don't think that's what it was. Like y'all saying, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. This is XO After Dark, but come on, people. Y'all saying that woman has done some things to that man to cause her skin to be more radiant.
Whoa.
That's what they're saying. No.
Hey, I heard that. That's a real thing now.
Come on. Did you text me?
Yeah, I did.
I can't stand you.
That was it, right?
I hate you. Because I was like, oh, why did she do?
I'm saying. She said that. I giggled a little bit. I was like, I bet you do.
Oh, dear God.
Anyway.
Like. Y'all, okay, enough with this. We've got off on the Coach Latonia is going to be ashamed of us, of this chat. So y'all are crazy. Yeah, I'm not going to play these games with none of y'all no more. No more. It's enough with that. So let's talk about that. When Millie seemed upset when the relationship coach mentioned that Greg was at one point a womanizer. And what are your thoughts on that? Well, she said that was disappointing, and that was the only thing tonight that we saw. She kind of,
Yeah, but I mean, we were all something at some point, right?
Well, some of us were more of something than others.
Yeah, but I mean, like, who's coming into this perfect? Who doesn't have a past? Who you didn't get that energy from him?
No. Well, I mean, No, we haven't gotten that energy. We haven't gotten
No,
that.
but even herself, like she hasn't got received
Right.
that from him.
That's
So
true.
if somebody brings up something that of someone's past that you were unaware of that hasn't affected you thus far, is
Right.
it really that big of a deal? And they're telling you,
It can be because you could see that, sometimes people don't necessarily change their stripes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people really do. That becomes something that, I feel like when you meet someone, if they have had tendencies to do that, that's definitely something I want to talk about and hear, like, how were you able to change? What made you change? And stop it.
I mean, I believe people don't change from person to person. Like if there's a grace period in between, if I met someone that cheated and
Right.
they jumped straight to me and cheated with me and then they want to be with me without giving it a great, like I believe, like when they say you can't make a something into a housewife, right?
Right.
You can't, but it doesn't mean that person can't change.
But what if okay, let me ask you this. What if you met a woman that had been a serial cheater, had cheated on every girl, every guy, every man she had ever been in a relationship with? That's different than saying, finding out the person cheated once. If that's the rule, but they played by, that can be difficult. That can be different.
No. I'm not saying that that can't happen. I'm saying people can change. I mean, obviously, you looking at their pattern, it's they're still moving funny ways. Then, you know, you make a judgment call. But what I'm saying is, don't think that people are stuck. There's a lot. Hell, Samuel Jackson was a crackhead. He changed. You see what I'm saying? Like certain
Thank you
people.
for that trip down cinematic memory lane, Mo.
No,
But
no, he was really while he was
no,
doing
I
it.
know. I meant cinematic, meaning he's in the movies and not
Yeah,
in
what I'm
reality.
saying is like, but people change, and but I don't believe they change from person. I think if they take time and work on themselves and not deal with other people, I don't think you change from person to person. I think you need space, and I think there's a possibility. I wouldn't totally rule it out, but I'm not
I don't
saying
rule it out, but I feel like this. I feel like if a person has changed, just in my opinion, if they have changed, then they have no problem talking about what they did
yeah, that's what
and
I'm saying.
how they became reformed, right? Because
Right.
when you meet those people that I don't want to talk about my past, those are the people that have not changed.
No,
Those
no, no. See, that's my point. But I know a few loose women that are saved now and go to church religiously. And not only go to church, but they walk in Christ.
what?
Yes, and they changed. Sometimes I was disappointed at a couple of changes, but I was happy for them. That's what I'm saying. People can change. They was sending me new photos. Now they send me Bible scripts. People change.
Really?
Yes, yes. I tried to get them to see if they still send the new pics, but they don't. Mo, I don't walk in that light no more. And I was like, my bad. I don't mean to disrespect you. My bad. I'm sorry. I just was testing to see if testing her faith. God sent me to test her to see if she was real, and she was really real. And she sent me more Bible scriptures. Yes. God bless those ladies.
Do you send them pictures to
I
church?
do. I do not. I do not send them.
All right, you guys, we've kind of gone through tonight. I'm going to bring on. We have Coach Latonia has just come in the building, so I want to welcome. Get the real clapper, Mo, not
Oh,
your
no,
hand.
I forgot about
Let's
this.
welcome Coach Latonia.
Greetings, everybody.
Good evening, Coach Latonia. How are you?
I'm well. How are you all doing?
We
Hey,
are
Coach.
awesome.
I'm great. How are you?
Good. It's been a long time.
It
Yeah.
has. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining. This is late. Usually we did this earlier last
Ooh,
time. We got you up
honey,
late.
you pushing it.
I have had a long week, so I'm just like I'm almost a zombie sitting here. It has been a long week, but I wanted you to come on, Coach Latonya. And we told people in our the week before last, and then last week, because there were so many instances of sexual abuse and sexual trauma and just coming up on this show in multiple situations, right? So first of all, there was a physical abuse with Alexis and Dominique, right? And then we saw Sienna and Brandon, and she cursed him out, called him a B 2 or 3 times, threw something at him, and said that she was used to taking care of, tried to kind of use the whole alpha female. I've always been taking care of myself. I don't trust anybody as an excuse for her behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then then yet another situation.
Yeah.
Millie used the same word towards Chris, said the same thing, that she had been abused before. She had suffered abuse. She's not used to trusting. She has a lot of pain from the past. And then finally, Jody mentioned that she has been sexually abused and that she has a hard time with intimacy. She does not feel comfortable snuggling with a man in the bed. And so I just said, at 4 people that we've seen exhibits of abuse and physical, sexual. At this point, this show is, to me, is irresponsible for us to keep having this conversation without having a professional join the conversation. And so that's why I wanted you to come in and just kind of give a perspective on this, because people are laughing and being entertained, but this is really not funny. There's a lot of pain here.
Right. Yes. Well, greetings everyone, to your viewers. Yes, it is. It is an issue that oftentimes is covered over and masked by bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And trauma oftentimes attracts more trauma, particularly, and when untreated trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we're looking at on these shows oftentimes is untreated trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows up as this aggression. It shows up as the name calling. And now, because we have social media, we have people misusing terms. I say that all the time. We have people misusing terms to label other people, but not really dealing with themselves, right? And right now the collective is very triggered with the whole P. Diddy situation. So it doesn't take much right now for people. And I'm sure this show was filmed before
it was.
But yes, it's absolutely, we're witnessing untreated trauma. Untreated.
Let me ask you, Coach Latonia, because there's so much to unpack, and I know, like, I trust your perspective and your knowledge on this from doing this for years. You've dealt with this for years, but I just want to take Jody, because she was an example of someone who you can see that there's so much pain, right? You see it when she's speaking. She's at first was very combative with some of the other people, very mean towards Aaron, who she's supposedly, her connect, or I don't want to say connection, but the man that she came with. And she said that she became a sexologist because she wanted to deal with the fact that she was uncomfortable with sex after being abused. Yeah, I just want you to address that situation.
To me, it makes a point for some of you who watch and you say you need to have a person with a degree, or you need to have a person with certifications and this type of thing. If you have not done, you can have all the certifications you want. You can have all the titles you want. But if you have not done the work, it will show up like what we see in her. Because if you have done sexology work, listen, there's a space where you ought to be a little bit more clear. A little bit. When I say clear, I don't mean clarity clear. I mean where you are less triggered. Because you've done the work. And this is why, I always talk about some of the non-traditional processes that women and men get to experience and go through, because there are a lot of people in therapeutic positions. I cannot tell you how many people I have coached, from and I'm going to call out the 3 main, from nurses to medical professionals and social workers who are in that field because they have trauma. So your wound is your motivation for your work. But see, that doesn't go together in when you're used to doing the kind of work that I do. If your wound becomes the motivation for your work, that's okay for it to motivate you. But if you're not clear and you're calling yourself by this particular title, it's evident. Who is she going to help?
Right. That's my thing. Is it healthy? Obviously, until you're healed, even if you went and got the certifications, is it healthy to practice it before you're healed? And how do you know if you're healed to practice it?
Well, so I can talk about my own experiences with abuse, sexual abuse, and not break down. And not that's one of the ways that you know that you are clear.
Okay.
It's when you can talk about what you've been through without having to take somebody else through it, to punish other people for it, or to fall apart. Okay. So and that takes years of doing that type of work. And it certainly takes a lot of work in a relationship to be able, a lot of trust to be able to communicate that. And I cannot tell you how many couples marry and they don't know the level of abuse a spouse has endured. Sometimes even when we're dating, there can be certain smells, the tone of a person's voice, the way that they touch, where they touch. And if a person has not done that type of healing, then they end up working it out in the relationship. And so that's why when you all are talking about love so much, this is why so many other things come up when we're talking about love, right? When we're talking about love and relationships, money comes up. Sexuality comes up, the family comes up, and all these other things, because that's the foundation. So yes, that's a very good question, and it's something that a man may feel uncomfortable asking a woman outright, and then it a lot of women assume that men haven't experienced it. And the statistics show that men are suffering in silence from their own abuse, or that they've gone through sexual abuse and the culture hasn't taught them to know that it's sexual abuse, because and I'm not saying because of any shame or guilt, but because of the dual message that men receive about being sexual. But it's abuse. If you start to really talk to young men and find out how many women have been predatory for young men, we would be amazed. But it comes through in conferences. It comes through oftentimes when a man has been, oftentimes when you see a man being extremely promiscuous, it's a sign. The same with a woman. It's not. So this is where when we really start doing the work, it starts to move beyond gender.
Okay. That's so true. I want to talk a little bit more about that, because we saw in the therapy session last week, or even the week before, with Millie and Greg. Right. Greg has been extremely supportive of her sharing her trauma, but when he shared, she became angry that he shared, and then was not really empathetic to that. And so we had a conversation here, with Mo, saying that a lot of times women don't provide that safe space and don't make men feel comfortable. And it was exhibited in plain sight there. She felt like he should have waited until after the session to another time. But the therapist asked him and he answered.
There you go. She saw something when Millie was explaining her story. I guess he had a reaction, or he kind of looked off.
Yeah.
And the coach caught it. And then she asked him, was there something? And then that's what went into it. Because he didn't volunteer this information. And then she, like Christal said, she took it away,
Yeah. And we don't know what part was edited. She could have asked more follow-up questions as a therapist normally would. And so that was just the part that we saw in there. But the facial expression of Millie was unmistakable. The
Mhm.
facial expression, the body language, there was absolutely no empathy.
Mhm.
And that's really dangerous, because when a woman, well, when anyone gets to a point of being numb, then they don't, it's like, like if you have a limb and it goes numb,
Mhm.
if it touches something, it can be severely damaged because you can't feel it. And so
Mm.
there are a lot of people
Mm.
who are emotionally numb, and
Mm.
the only emotion that they can go to is rage, to feel.
That was deep, Coach Latonia.
Yeah.
I gotta stop you right there. We gotta rewind that because
Really? Was that deep?
no, it was deep. I will tell you why. Because I talk to men a lot, and a lot of times I was even having a conversation with my son, and he said, when something hurt him, he can't focus. Can't. I'm not gonna stay focused on that, and so you bury it away, and it becomes numb. And there are so many men that's how they handle emotion. And I've never, when you said that when something is numb, it can become damaged worse because it can't feel. When
Yeah.
you, even we see with Chris does not like emotion, and
Right.
he is angry at Sandia because like, you're too emotional. And I've never thought about the fact that because a person will not acknowledge that pain is a corrector. It's like, oh, don't touch that, it hurts, I don't like that.
Yes,
If you
absolutely.
can't feel it, you can get damaged heart. That is really, really
Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
I've never thought about that.
That is
Don't get
deep.
that, like that's, can you please talk a little bit more about that? Just because that is huge. And I think so many men, we were talking the other night and about how men don't share their feelings, and sometimes they may not even understand that they are having feelings. What does that look like later?
Well, for in male female relationships, it can look like criticism. Like, why do you always have to go there? Why do you always have? You're too dramatic? So it can look like criticism. It can look like labeling. Some partners walk out. They just absolutely just do not communicate. They don't ask any questions, because that's just too much. It's too overwhelming. So it can look like indifference.
Mm.
Um, it can look like, like I said, shutting down and cutting off. For a woman, it can look opposite. It can look like she's feeling, but she's raging, or she's very verbose, and the name calling. Now, I do think that women have become much more aggressive, and there is a message that have gone out to women that it's that, we see this a lot on shows. We've talked about this before, and we don't get a chance to always see the dynamic of them living in a house. But that was violence, what we saw. So I do want your audience to hear this. And I have coached people and counseled people through this. I've been friends with people who are like this. Sometimes the person who has experienced abuse becomes the abuser.
Mm.
And
Most.
not necessarily the person who's experienced sexual abuse becomes a sexual abuser, but because of the sexual abuse, the abuse takes on another form.
Mm. Wow.
Okay.
So that's why it becomes a normal to just call someone out of their name, and then dare you not to get in their face, that you don't hit me. So when women act like a man and become aggressive, and I'll be honest with you all again, when you can talk about it, you can, and you're free from it, you don't have any shame. It's no heaven or hell nobody can put me in. But I remember when I first got married, and I was hurt. I was just young, and I just had not had any therapy. I had not done any type of work, and I got married at 19. And I remember getting in my husband's face and telling him all kind of stuff and talking just horrible out my mouth. And he told me, he said, I no longer see you as a woman. He said, I no longer see you as the precious thing that I am supposed to protect. He said, my natural instincts as a man, and we're not talking about DV tonight. We're talking about abuse, though, that underneath behavior is a root cause. And so he said, I no longer see you as this precious thing that I'm to protect. He said, as a man, my instinct is, if you come to harm me, is that I'm supposed to hurt you. And he said, and I never want to hurt something that I would lay my life down for. Oh, okay. I never saw it that way. But he taught me that I had to learn to regulate myself. When I later went to therapy, what I found out was I was giving to him everything that I couldn't give to my daddy. Because see, my dad didn't tolerate that behavior. But I was a broken-hearted little girl. And because my dad was no nonsense, there were places where he failed me. And so any man that came in that unconsciously, now this is not conscious, because I'm married, I want to love this man, I want to be loved by this man. But when those emotions get triggered up, we go back to the wound, we go back to the trauma, and what we're talking through is oftentimes what we couldn't say when we were in that moment. So you see Millie overcompensating. And the culture has made it okay. She probably has never been corrected either. Nobody ever corrected her.
Sienna had the same. Sienna situation was it was disgusting to me. And I do, I'm not gonna lie. Mo mentioned that he was upset because social media, no one was alarmed, right? There were some people that said something, but for the most part, when we heard, we didn't even see it. We heard that a man on Ready to Love called a woman a B.
We heard,
and people were going crazy on him. And we saw this woman look him in the eye across the pool table and say, "You're a B," and then say it twice, and then come back and threw something and there was not the same outrage. She was asked to leave, but not because of her actions, because he said that he did not want to move forward. Right. And ironically, Coach Latonia, she wanted to continue she was upset that he let go of the relationship. So I would love for you to talk about what that scene was. So I just hate that the series kept moving forward, because when I talked to Taronda, she said, well, we're on OWN and we will not tolerate, physical abuse. So when that situation happened with Alexis and Dominique, he was immediately let go. Yes. However, that situation was handled so much differently because she was a woman. If a man had looked at a woman and spoken that tone and called her a B twice and then threw something at her, he would have been asked to leave immediately.
Yeah. We definitely see a double standard when it comes to television and entertainment. When it comes to this, it's repetitive. We see this even on some of the other shows, some of the VH1 shows, some of the millennials love. They go around for round. It's been okay to do this. And but what the audience oftentimes doesn't know, and because you may have an untrained eye to see this person is wounded. So just FYI, one, if you're watching, if you see yourself in these people and you're co-signing, get help. If you're watching and you're co-signing, you need to get help. If you don't cringe and you don't, and this is normal behavior for you and your girls, and you have girls that you could go and talk about what you did and how you told him, those aren't your friends. They can't help you grow. They can't, because your healed friends will say, "Oh, don't do that, sis. I know you're frustrated." See, I had women in my life who said, "You're out of line. Don't you?" I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no. You keep going. But I just want to say that I just think, and that's both ways. I don't want to let the fellas off the hook, because I've seen it both ways. Where obviously we just talked about the women, but guys, it's the same principle. It's the same thing, and we don't do enough checking. I think women do check other women way faster than men check other men. Yeah. We kind of leave it alone and mind our business. And I think that's become a bigger problem.
We used to. I don't know that we still do anymore. I mean,
nowadays,
check them out.
Women, we were talking about that, like the accountability. Specifically, I'm speaking of women of color because that's really the majority of who I deal with. There is a huge, we've talked about this, Coach Latonia, Mo, you and I talked about this, because I'm shocked. I'm like, there's no accountability. I had accountability at my house. So my mom was quick to be like, to pull my coattail, and even my girlfriends. But I don't see that, and I see behavior defended it's just inexcusable. That situation where, because 2 girls did it on the show, 2 women called a man a B. That is inexcusable. There's nothing, and no one has said you do not speak. And someone's in the chat that it was not considered a threat. If a man does it, it's considered a threat. Why
is that? And
who taught you that?
See, that's the problem I have, is because we as men are not supposed to do something. So if we're not supposed to do something, we're just to take it. And it's just like, and to me, that's been abused. Oh, I know you're not going to do nothing, so I can say whatever I want.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what we've created in the culture, because what happens is when there has been extremes, right? And this is, you can study this all the way to Bible days. Anywhere you can trace extremity, people go all the way to the other extreme. So it's true that women have absolutely been treated as underclass citizens. Black women in particular, the most unprotected, the most disregarded. Malcolm X said it. It has not changed that much. We are in a new season spiritually. We are in a new season cosmically when it comes to the woman, and that's one of the reasons why we're seeing some of this. But in this season, we also are going to be held accountable for this disconnect that's happening. And so what happens, we've gone all the way to the other extreme because women have been treated so poorly historically. Women have been seen as property historically. When you look at your marriage vows, those of you who think you have true Christian love, you really don't know the history of that type of psychology that has happened. Because when you take marriage vows, they used to say man and wife. What's a wife? A wife by law and it was property. She was considered like cattle. It's over time that it's become man and woman. But why did it say man and wife? Because that was a jurisdiction, that was a category. But most of us don't know. We're just practicing some type of emotional religion, and we follow these laws, and then we think we have these guarantees. Now, but it has a psychological imprint. And there are other messages that we've received when it comes to relationships and when it comes to marriages. So my point is, that was an extreme. And so now we see whenever you get freedom, you go a lot of times all the way to the other extreme. You see sexual freedom, you see this verbal freedom. So or the illusion that that's freedom. But in many ways that is still a form of incarceration, because if you cannot handle your emotions, you can't regulate your emotions, you cannot articulate your emotions, you're incarcerated.
Yeah. I saw a Um, well, I read this and then I looked up, I saw a video of a doctor, of a psychologist speaking about fear and trauma, right? And the effects on the brain.
Yes.
And he said that if you've experienced trauma, and you can see the waves, the patterns that it makes on the brain, right? At the time. And if you are afraid of it happening again, the brain does not, it's not different in what happens from the fear of it from the actual action.
Absolutely.
And that was so deep to me. And I was like, I have to share this tonight, because when understanding that, then when you see Sienna make that horrific exchange, she was, in her mind, she is experiencing something triggered, and she's feeling that exact way that she felt when she was being physically abused or sexually
Right.
abused. That is the same exact. There is no difference in what is happening in the brain when it is fear, when there's fear triggered, than when it is actually happening.
Yes.
So that also explains why it's so important to get help before, because you're going through it over and over again. And the second part of that is, if you have children and you put that fear in them, then they have experienced it mentally without actually living through it.
Right. Well, many of the messages that we've received from our parents either comes from the healed them or the broken them. And we build our identity about how we move in relationships based off of the messages oftentimes that we receive.
Yeah.
And so, and what about the generation? We have to talk about the generation that did not have social media with all of this conversation and all of these outlets. So there, I've been in the company, through doing this work. Sometimes it will open up conversations in your own family, particularly sisters. If you are doing your work, you should ask your mothers and your sisters and your aunties some deeper questions as you learn things. You will find that many of them did not have an outlet to talk about it. Or if you go to them, if they really have trauma, remember we were talking about numbing a few minutes ago?
Right.
You go ask them a question and they'll shut down, or they'll shut you down. I don't know about that. Don't bring that up. We don't talk about that. And so so when you see this type of thing in yourself, in my work, a lot of my work is it comes under the banner of something called epigenetics, what you just talked about. And so epigenetics is, sometimes you inherit the wound of your mother or father, whatever's in the bloodline. So sometimes their experience with sexual abuse and trauma is transferred with, like, this stuff is really deep. Like, we don't take on that we are really energy beings. Then on another level, I'll say this and get off of it real quick, but even in our spiritual work, I was just in a ceremony the other day, and we were cleaning and clearing the bloodline curse of molestation in the family, and how that shows up, and how many secrets are kept. And it's not just us. It's not just brown people. It's not just people who like us. It can be even more insidious in Latino cultures, or African cultures, where it's heavy, or any immigrant culture where it's heavily patriarchal still to this day, and those secrets are kept in the family, or the person. How about, and I know I'm being specific because I know somebody in this audience has experienced this. There are women who have told and been questioned. What did you do? How did you cause it? Or the mother or father stayed with the person that
infraction.
So imagine the terror and the trauma of someone who is being molested, abused, or not believed, and then they have to live in it every day. This is why, sisters, experience women's workshops where you can talk about the details. Now, I don't go into all of the horrific details. on a platform like this. But there are other symptoms for women who have been abused before it even gets verbal.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, and I mean, this is what this to me is the conversation, or the beginning of the conversation that's needed when you have a reality show that's, supposed to entertain, but it's not. But we're talking about, out of 7 couples, 4.5, 4 to 5 are dealing with this type of abuse, and these are young people for the most part that is very there's not been much healing done, right? And they're probably looking for validation for some of that in being on TV, which is probably the worst thing that you can do when you're in that situation. I want to take a little bit of a turn, Coach Latonia, and just ask about, because there's another couple that we see extreme issues with Chris and Sandia, like, and that it's not necessarily from her being abused, but we see the way he talks to her. We see the way that he seems to have that ownership idea. And they talk about them being from the Haitian culture. And I know I have friends that are Haitian, and we know that there are, like you mentioned, very patriarchal cultures outside of America that doesn't really, we're just kind of lukewarm at everything. But I want to ask you about, what goes through your mind, or what are you thinking when you watch the interaction between Sandia and Chris? And then, even more importantly, the way Chris interacts with his friend. His friend came and they joked about, him being a womanizer, and, monogamy being something that's not realistic. And she just kind of hangs her head at this, and all these things are happening, and we're watching the television saying, girl, no. But then I wonder, because she's a part of this culture, she doesn't have the same reactions. In fact, she stood up, eventually, against some of the young ladies that were trying to have her back.
She did.
So I would love you to kind of speak about what you see with Chris. And even tonight, he was even a bit condescending to the therapist. You know what I mean? He just doesn't, and to Taronda, he does not see women as equals, and he's very clear about it.
I think that's for him. I think that's just a defense mechanism. He's deeply insecure, and he started to talk about his wounding.
Right.
The 8-year relationship broke him. It's just that simple. The 8-year relationship broke him. As far as Sandia, I actually see something a little different. I don't see her as fragile as most people want to hold her. And I think that American women want you to come back like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that there's some strength in her vulnerability, that she does not have to match energy. We don't always have to match energy. And so but when she speaks, she seems to be the kind of person, because this is TV, y'all. She seems to be the kind of person who, when asked and when given the space, she speaks. When she speaks, she said she speaks her truth. But she has some things to work on too. And the therapist, I actually think that the therapist has been doing a really good job with who they've chosen to be in this house. Now, the production has allowed some things to go on and to happen. But yeah, I don't see Sandia as being as fragile as, like Chris, that's his name. Obnoxious, yes, he's obnoxious, like his friend.
His friend was even worse. Yeah,
way worse.
Yeah,
but he exhibited that behavior that his friend had that first night when he was talking. We saw all that same energy from him when she was watching.
That's what I was saying. I was like, well, maybe Chris is exactly like his friend. He's trying to tone it down for the house, but because when he was alone with, like we said in the first episode with the fellas, he was talking
big stuff, wasn't he?
Well, I just want ladies to understand this. A lot of times we're two people. I mean, we're all have different, two sides, right? And I think I've had this conversation with Christal, and I put together something where I wanted women to see, and I had this thing where we put a topic, is men and women in the room. We put a topic in a fishbowl and we pull it out, and men would talk about it, and the women weren't supposed to interrupt the men. They would just let them talk, because I wanted women to see or be a fly on the wall. And a lot of times, because I've seen men change the conversation when women walk in the room, or change how they talk, and I'm like, that's not real. And when I say how men really talk, they be like, nah, that's not really happening. I'm like, no. When men talk amongst each other, it's different. And it's not only just men, it's your sons, it's your grandsons. We're all, the most gangsterous dude in front of his grandmother is not who he is in the street.
Absolutely.
Your son, and you see it on the news every day. Be like, my baby would never do nothing like that. No, he did that. He did that.
And when you learn how to listen to your brothers or your friends, sometimes they'll tell you I was just in a situation the other day. I had to just get up and leave the room. It was because someone said in the comments, I think it was Dee Dee, she said we need to learn how to hush and observe, and that's very, very true. We do need to learn how to talk less, to analyze less, and question, ask key questions, but not interrogate. We think when we're interrogating, we really doing something. We securing the future when we do that. But a man will tell you anything.
When I had that thing, the women were not supposed to. Nobody was supposed to interrupt anybody. Do you know
what happened?
Time the men spoke their mind, the women interrupted
They went off. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And they asked me, they was like, well, can I bring my man? I didn't want no couples there, to be honest with you, because I knew every guy that had a woman there, which happened, agreed with. I'm like, no, I'm not saying they can agree, but the topics that were coming out, and I just want, and vice versa, I wanted the women to speak as if men weren't there, and guys just be quiet and let the woman talk and us listen.
Yeah.
But the guys listen, but unfortunately the women didn't.
that is not abnormal. We've seen that. I hosted a Ready to Love after and the women, I just was like, well, I give it. But let me ask you this, Coach Latonia, because Mo and I have had this conversation, and I think that because we have a group of friends and we all know each other, right? Especially, from way back. And I think that sometimes, and I could be wrong, I am very okay with being wrong, but when I watch the interaction with Chris and the guys, sometimes I feel like that is not, I don't know which one is more honest, because I feel like guys put on for other men. Mo and I have a group of friends, and he'll say, oh, he doesn't care about her. He just doing this and that. Because when they're around each other, they're all like flexing their muscles. And I got this girl. I don't care about that. I got this. Mo got a mean joint here. All that is a lot of times men just posturing for each other. When it's one-on-one, because I have a lot of conversations with people one-on-one, and they've been very vulnerable with being shared. A lot of men have shared with me they've been abused. And those same men that are telling another guy, oh, I don't care about her, he's almost crying to me about this girl. So I'm like, at what point, where is the honesty? Because sometimes, yes, there's conversation men amongst men, but I have seen that men try to impress. They have a lot of, penis contests with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
I mean, I can't speak to that. One thing you won't ever hear me do is try to speak for that type of thing in terms of men, because I don't work with men directly. I've had the benefit of learning some lessons as a woman and as a therapist, but I won't speak for why men do that. Mo can speak to that. And is there psychology? Absolutely, because men, psychologically, men are taught to compete.
Yeah.
So when they are together, it's like a team. The team is talking about the points that they scored, or like you said, who has the biggest whatever, you know what I'm saying? And
Mm.
even if it's not talked about directly, because that's a low vibrational conversation, it
It
still
is.
happens in corporate America. It still happens in for successful men who even are more dignified. They just flex with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they flex with their things or their power.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what when we're talking about patriarchy and toxic masculinity, this is what you just described is what we what we're talking about. It's but it's okay to talk about toxic masculinity and not okay to talk about toxic femininity.
Mm.
And that is, I think that is the real breakthrough for many of us, those who choose it.
Mm-hmm.
Those of you who choose it, who make the choice to heal, to those of you who make the choice to feel, deal, and heal,
Mm.
versus being forced to do it. We I think that many of us have become a little arrogant when it comes to what we have and what we can do. Someone also mentioned in the comments independence. Let me tell you, another symptom of molestation and sexual abuse is the need to be in control. So we joke and we talk about women who are control freaks, but oftentimes that is a symptom
Mm-hmm.
of someone, because one of the compensations that a sexual abuse a person has experienced, they need to control environments to
Right.
feel safe. They
Right.
need to know the plan. They need to, so control oftentimes is a byproduct of some type of trauma or some type of impact
Mm-hmm.
on the psychology. And the other thing when I've talked to even an addiction therapist, that you can become addicted to trauma, and it changes you. You talked about the brain. It does change your brain. Trauma imprints your brain, so you're never the same. So to try to pretend and cover over it with achievement, degrees, material things, even the microphone, this whole idea of a brand, you know, well, everybody's got a brand now. A lot of times we're trying to compensate for all of the ways that we were not compensated
Mm-hmm.
as children, or as somebody who has felt and gone through something that wasn't acknowledged. It
Mm.
is one of the most it's a form of neglect.
Yeah.
And I would say in our culture, we also have neglected so many untreated trauma wounds in our culture,
Mm-hmm.
partially from what all the other external things that we were experiencing historically. People were just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
the, this is not new. This level of abuse, this type of dysfunction and pathology is not new. It
Mm-hmm.
predates slavery, so we're not going to say that it's just slavery. This goes all the way into the halls of even the church,
Yeah.
the institution of church, and there's been so many situations like that. So this pathology, we're in this season where we're seeing a lot of this being exposed so that it can be healed and cleared, so that we can lift into this age of Aquarius. Not to get too woo woo,
Mm-hmm.
but I know people are feeling it. People are talking about this. And so I would even encourage some of you who have not done your work, be careful of watching shows like this that trigger you,
Yeah.
because then now you go lay down and you go to bed with this imprint that you just watched on the reality show,
Mm-hmm.
and now it joins on with your trauma. And if you don't think that it spills out in your relationships and your work and how you show up the next day, it does. Even if you are trying to attract love, and I know this is a love channel, I get that, but I often caution people who are literally clear. I'm ready for love. I want to attract love. Be careful of sitting and watching everything that's unlike love.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Singing songs that's unlike love. Don't go sing Phyllis Hyman if you want to attract. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's old. Wait a minute.
You,
What?
I
Pick up
know.
feelings. What's her name? Jasmine Sullivan.
Sullivan.
Don't go sing Jasmine Sullivan. Pick
That's
up
true.
your feelings.
Yeah, Jasmine's.
You know, that's interesting because they say, music reflects the times, right?
Right.
And for whatever your generation, that's the soundtrack of.
Yes.
So let's say it's your 20s, right?
Right.
You're going out, you're young, you're going out to the nightclubs, and this is your first experience. You're in college, so on and so forth. And I don't know if you're aware of the music today. There's no more love in the music anymore.
No.
And I can't help but to think that that affects things. I remember growing up and just love songs, whether it be old Motown or whatever. And I think the 90s was probably the last pure decade of love music. After that, it went somewhere else. And I think that's where it seemed like that's where the shift started to happen.
Yeah. Right. Christal and Moe, you all remember, come on, tell on yourself. You got to be honest.
I'm okay with it.
Do you all remember that when you were getting ready to, get it on or whatever, and you would play music, you had a soundtrack to Make Love To?
Yeah.
You had
it was a cassette tape back then, because you would have, the guy would make you a cassette tape, be on the phone talking late at night. You're listening to those songs, and a lot of times you're thinking about those songs and being with him.
Yes.
And I wonder, my daughter's a DJ, and she said, "Mom, we don't have any love songs." And so I remember thinking, wow, because now when she grew up in the house, so I was playing, and then we had a different, there was Boys to Men, and there was Jodeci, right? So you had
slow songs in the nightclub.
Yeah.
They would play, the DJ would help the fellas out and play a song so you can get next to that woman who
Let me tell you something. I remember,
baby, we knew when we slow drag with do y'all tell me, millennials do y'all know what a slow drag is? Do you know what
they couldn't, because
slow drag?
No, because it's not, and I don't know.
Have a dance floor now.
I try to they don't dance together like that. But I can remember in my 8th grade prom, dancing to Tell Me What You Want Me to Do. And I was just having this really intimate moment, just, dancing with this guy I really liked a lot. But there was something to look forward to outside of, it wasn't just, sex and drop, let that thing breathe. Like, I don't know what's happening, but it's not there. So it's very different.
There was a song that comes on. It says, "I want to make you my wife." Y'all go look that up. Y'all ever heard that? You remember that song?
I do, yes.
Yeah. And baby, let somebody pull you in. Listen, what we're doing is we're giving you all some reference points in case you haven't. That's free game, because what that is conjure magic. Yeah. And so if you're trying to call in something, you got to get in the mood for it. But if you're watching this stuff, you will be paranoid, looking, looking for where's he lying? And I'm gonna bust him out.
That's why, honestly, Coach Latonia, you said this is a channel for love. And I do believe that love exists for everybody, but I try. That's why I was like, we will not be irresponsible. And our audience is not as big as some of the channels that have huge audiences that are regulated by clickbait that is hurtful, right?
Absolutely.
And so we will not do that. And that's why we were watching this show. I'm like, we sit up here laughing about this, but this is not funny. These are issues that are not funny. And we're encouraging people not to give up on love. Yeah, we laugh and we joke, but at the end of the day, it's irresponsible, in my opinion, for us to sit there and not have this type of conversation to go along with that, because that show is not doing anything that is sowing into the hearts of anyone that would want love. This is dysfunction. This is brokenness. It's really sad. And that's why I was like, we have to have this conversation, because this love is not something that is for entertainment. Love is deeper than that. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of a lot of these relationship podcasts and conversations actually are doing more damage to people.
Yes, they are.
Than not, because they're working on what is going to go viral. And what is going to go viral is pitting the genders, specifically in our community, against one another, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's dangerous. And we try to be something very different than that, because yes, we, like I said, we laugh and Mo and I, but there's a genuine friendship here. And I think when people, are in the chat and they'll be, oh, you and Mo, I'm like, you, there's nothing y'all can ever say to ever break, because we've been friends. When Mo and I met, I was married and I was his publicist. So we have been friends from a platonic, brother or sister type vibe from the beginning. You know what I mean? So it's not anything that people, it's authentic. So the conversation is really like, I want people to hear from a man, that they can relate to, that's real, but there's not going to be anything here. We don't want to break people down. We really want to give them, but you have to do your work. I mean, we're still working.
Every day.
Oh, absolutely. Even though I'm in this work, it's even heavier, sometimes, because when you are in this work, and I'm married, and you get told quickly, look, I'm not your client. Don't be trying to be a therapist in here. So sometimes, even when I can see a pattern, I have to know how to let it ride and find other approaches. I cannot come and break down what I see. But when I tell you all, it is so possible to have had these traumatic experiences and come together and be patient with each other, and to work through this. And the payoff is bigger than the games that are being played. And sometimes the payoff is not in a year. Y'all give up too easy. You throw things away too quickly. Because love is a mirror, and love will show you to yourself. And when you think your ish does not stink, love will put it in your face. And I'm talking about a healthy love. So relationships are mirrors. And oftentimes we're in relationships mirroring one another, which is the case with the what's her name, Sienna. They mirroring.
Jody, let me on a lighter note, I wanted to ask you this, Coach Latonia, because we had a conversation the other night with my husband, and we were talking about, we do a thing called dating diaries, where we talk a little bit about each side, and someone sent this to me because of the conversation. It's not last week's conversation, but a couple of weeks back. And I said, you know what? I think this may still be true today. We're talking about, we still live in a patriarchal society. But some of the things, sometimes the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is a clip, and you may have seen this before, from Good Housekeeping in 1950s. This is an article that says tips to look after your husband. And I just want to ask you, do you agree? Out of these tips, which ones do you agree are still relevant today? And okay. Mo, you as well. So I want Coach Latonia to tell me what she thinks. And then Mo, you tell me if you agree that should still happen. I will go ahead and tell you guys up front, my husband agrees with all of these things. So yes, it is the Good Housekeeping article. All right. So the first one is, and this is 1950s, have dinner ready. Plan ahead, even the night before, to have a delicious meal prepared on time. This is a way of letting your husband know that you have been thinking about him and are concerned about his needs. Most men are hungry when they come home, and the prospects of a good meal are part of the warm welcome that they need. Coach Latonia, do you agree with that?
If you're a housewife.
Mo?
I like that, but she made a good point. That's fair. If you're, and that's the thing that changed, but 1000% I agree. If you're a housewife, you better have that dinner ready on the. But
what if you're not a housewife, Mo?
Nah, I mean, you listen. If you're not, then things change and things alter. It's the 50s. A lot of things changed.
So you don't think that was necessarily.
No.
Yes or no?
No, because I know how to cook. No.
Okay. All right. Next, number 2, prepare yourself. Take 15 minutes to rest so that you will be refreshed when he arrives. Touch up your makeup, put a ribbon in your hair, and be fresh looking. He has just been with a lot of work weary people. Be a little happy and a lot more interesting. His boring day may need a lift. Coach Latonia.
There is some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, Christal, you and I are not putting no damn bows in our hair, but
No, no.
but yes, there is some truth to freshen up. First of all, but it is very sexist the way that it's written. You're not doing it for him, you're doing it for you. And so you cannot give from an empty cup. And so a lot of times we don't plan on how we can refresh ourselves before we get into that position to be able to give. And a man is visual, and he does not want to come home to you always in a moo and a head wrap.
Nice. Mo, what do you think about the 15 minutes to prepare yourself?
I disagree.
Okay, tell us, expand on that for us, please.
It's just not realistic. I didn't see it growing up. It'd be nice. I saw it on TV, but I didn't see it growing up.
If she has a bonnet on every day you walk in, you're okay with that?
Believe it or not, some women don't look bad in bonnets. Chances are, if you were unattractive with the bonnet on, you're probably unattractive with it off too. But no, I realistically no. I'll be honest with you. Don't be barking orders at me and can you do just give me some peace and let me get adjusted, and that's all I require. All that other stuff is cool, but I don't require all that.
All right, that brings me to the next one. This was don't greet him with problems or complaints. Don't complain if he's late. Count this as a minor compared to what he may have gone through with his day.
Yeah, I agree.
No?
Yeah, not in the first hour. Give me a minute. Let me take a shower. Let me,
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, even for your children. That a lot of mothers, as soon as the child hits the door, they're barking out orders. They're telling them what to do. They don't look their children in their eyes to see how they're doing, what's going on, how was your day. So I do think that that's a valuable tool.
It says also listen to him. You may have a lot of things to tell him, but the moment of his arrival is not the time. Let him talk first.
That sounds crazy. Now I disagree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
You might be telling me something I need to know immediately before I take off my coat. I might have to go right back out. Don't let me get too comfortable. I need to know.
I agree.
Okay. It says eliminate all noise at the time of his arrival, and then eliminate all noise of the washer, dryer, dishwasher, or vacuum. Be happy to see him, greet him with a warm smile, and make him feel glad. Make it clear that you're glad that he is home.
This is all ego driven. I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't like this. No.
This is
getting worse
in the 1950s, and this was before women. At this point in America, women were not allowed to have their own bank account. But the reason that I wanted to read these is because a friend sent me this based on our conversations. And I did have I talked to my husband, and my husband is a very traditional Southern man. And most of these, he definitely agrees with. There's clean up the clutter. I am failing here, guys. So I got to do better. Make one last trip through the main part of the house just before your husband arrives, gathering up anything, toys, paper, and then run a dust cloth over the tables. Your husband will feel like he has reached a haven of rest and order, and it will give you a lift too.
This sounds like the people came to your job from corporate, and they come in there real quick.
Yeah, in the 50s, the majority of women were not working 12 hours. I mean, today, a lot of us, I interviewed a lady today that has a business. She's an entrepreneur, and she said She said most Black women are tired. Most Black women do not get enough sleep because they are trying to do too many things for too many ends. So they're trying to chase the bag. They're trying to do this. They're trying to get the husband, the kids, and they're not getting enough sleep. And I think that what has happened is we are trying to pull from a system that's already set and put it with a system that is not. These women were at home all day.
Yeah, these were kept women, and guess what? They didn't look like us.
They did not look like us.
Yeah, this is very Ward and
This
June
is just
Cleveland.
like the medical system. You all go read stuff about your gynecology. It wasn't written for you. That's not written for us.
You better say it. You better say that.
What they was doing in the 70s? Let me see that list.
Well, this one says, try to make your home a place of peace and order where your husband can renew himself in body and spirit. Now, the funny thing about this, when this was sent to me, it says gun boss on all these rags. But I do think it's funny. I thought that would be cute to ask you guys. But I think when we hear these conversations on social media, a lot of them are steeped in that, right? This is what a woman is supposed to do: clean, cook, serve, do, whatever you like. But the reality is that's just not the world that we live in today. That's not the world.
I don't think the younger generation is doing that, though.
A lot of the boys, the young men, I call them boys. The ironic thing, Coach Latonia, is when you talk to a lot of the young men, they never saw that, but they've been told that's what they were supposed to have. I have heard young men say to young girls, and we're talking about in there, you don't cook, you don't clean, you're supposed to be doing this to set up the house. And I'm like, what are y'all talking about? There is a disconnect between what does a wife do? What is a wife? I don't think that our community has a definition on that now, right? Because really we weren't ever that. We were never the good housekeeping June Cleaver. But there is, and I know a lot of women can relate to this. A lot of times that ideal of what a wife is weaponized against working women. That's happened to me. Well, I dated a guy that told me my mother cooked, cleaned, kept the house spotless, and worked 10 hours a day and got no help because she's a woman. And I was like, well,
it don't mean she enjoyed it.
Exactly. She was broken and battered and mentally and I think that's the issue is we have to be open to having a conversation about what does being a husband and a wife look like. How everyone's definition can be different. What works in your in your home may not work in my home, and vice versa. But we have to be willing. And a lot of these young people are speaking of something that they've never seen happen in a successful way.
But let me ask you this though: if the woman traditionally things change for the woman, then why are we expecting the same traditions from the man?
What do you mean?
Like they say, well, a man's supposed to do this, that, and the other. I want a traditional man. Well, we're not getting a traditional woman. A woman's role per se, a wife's role per se. Then why are we expecting? And I'm not saying he shouldn't do the core of those things, because I believe the core of those things in a woman, it's just really being a nurturer. That's all.
Mo, we both have distorted realities right now.
Okay.
We have distorted realities and recycled pathologies.
Okay.
And they're taking on extreme forms.
Okay.
Part of this has been roadmapped since the 50s. This is documented. You can go and look it up. It's literally a psychological campaign that began even before quote unquote feminism. The feminist movement wasn't even for us. But you have many of us who are calling ourselves advocates and all type of things, and we don't even know the history of where that came from or what that included, because we didn't have to do that. Our families were tribal. They always were cooperative. People always had a role, and this is what we came from. This is how we not just survived but thrived. This is who we are. But we've taken on a Western colonized version of everything. Colonized version of love, colonized version of education, colonized version of diet, and it shows up as dis-ease. And we are a dis-ease people. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to say, "Hard to lead in the wrong direction, easy in the right direction, easy to lead in the wrong direction." And you know, so we hear these things, but we're colonized, and many of us have amnesia about who we are. So our references are references from our colonizers.
Yeah.
Is that too revolutionary for your channel?
That's the truth.
They know.
We understand the truth. We speak the truth around here. You bring us the raw word, but we digest that well.
Okay.
We digest that well around here.
And while I'm thinking about it, you asked me what, like, back then they paid a man enough to take care of a family.
No, I don't agree with that.
No. Listen. Even that's why she was able to. I mean, I'm talking about back then. They were a factory job. You go to Detroit and you go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where they had the steel mills. They paid a man enough to do that. Those same jobs right now, if they're still available, a lot of them are not going. You get a factory, a man can't take care of a family on a factory job.
He couldn't take care of a family then, and historically. Go watch some old shows. What I think the old show is, what is it, Claudine?
Well, he was a trash man.
But that's a good example. There's another one. I think Regina Bell or someone was in. Or Nina, one of those old classics as well. Remember when Wesley Snipes played the role and he just couldn't make enough money? He was working
Right.
But the thing, can I say something? I have to say this because you know, I'm originally from Toledo, which was a factory town, right? And this is the reality that we don't want to acknowledge. Fences was a very good reference. Thank you to Queasy, because the Honorable Mr. Denzel Washington did an amazing job at playing that role. But seriously, that is not the case. Those men were not making a lot of money at that time. Those families had one car. The woman was not in Louboutins. She was not trying to get Louboutins. They were taking care of their families. They were not trying to post on Instagram and look like they were in the latest things with a Birkin bag and a Chanel. We were not that. That's not what we were doing. We were into taking care of our families. My great grandfather lived in a little bitty wooden house on a bunch of land, and my great grandma Katie was in with the kid. Katie was not out talking to her girlfriends at Barnes and Noble and trying to make sure she was in the latest foreign whip. That is why. So now we say you need a two income family. The reason that we need a 2-income family is because we are trying to keep up with these westernized ideas of what we have to have. I remember talking to this guy and he said, you know what? I have no problem paying all the bills, right, for my woman. But what I am not going to do, and he had a nice townhouse, he had a nice car. He said, this is how I live. This is how I live within my means. What I am not going to do is allow a woman to come in and tell me that we have to have a house 3 times this size and 2 cars, and she has to have all these things. So it's not about the men. The men were making that much money. There were different priorities with the family at that time.
That's totally making my point. That's even making my point. Now we're required to take care. If we weren't doing it then, we're damn sure expected to do it now. That's my point.
No, there's
and
a lot.
They won't mess with you unless you can do it all, and they save their money and spend your money. That's my point. We weren't doing it then, so why are we? And don't get me wrong, you should be able to take care of your lady and do all those things. But a lot of them, like I said, they're waiting for the guy at the finish line that's ready to do all that now.
Well, I think both are looking for a savior, though, Mo. I think women are looking for a savior.
Thank you.
I think men are looking for a savior. So men want to be nurtured in the way that their mother didn't nurture them. So they want their woman to show up and
That's
do for them what they did not get from their own mother.
right.
So therefore, a lot of times the projection that we hear from men is that they're looking for what mama didn't give them. Their mother was busy, their mother was clubbing, their mother was tired, their mother was stretched, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And then vice versa. Now you have women who see men as an ATM machine, a way out.
You're right.
So the dysfunction is dis-ease. The pathology has been effective. Listen, the only way we have got to, the way we are going to save our families is we have got to get back to basics. First of all, we have to value family in the first place. A lot of people don't even hang out with their cousins, much less know how to collaborate. Hanging out with your cousins, conflict in your family teaches you how to be able to be resilient in a relationship. But now people just throw each other away. I'm gonna block you. I'm gonna, whatever the case. We throw people away the moment we get pissed off with them. We don't know how to sit down and deal with conflict. And enough people have not, excuse my reverend French, have gotten their asses kicked. And that's why you hear them talking about Generation X, because we didn't do that. We're gonna come see about you. Now we got keyboard bullies, all kind of stuff. Somebody said we're so sensitive now. Now we have different categories. So yeah, we have got to take back our families, but first it's gonna have to come from the way we think about family.
Right.
Family with that for you. Then how are you going to build a family?
Yeah, that's true. Coach Latonia, let people know, because first of all, I love when you come. We have to do this again more often, because I don't want to wait till there's trauma. I was like, oh my gosh, we got to get Coach Latonia here, because this show is traumatic. Even from the first episode of them introducing Kama Sutra positions, I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
People are dealing with sexual trauma, and you got them bent up and it's awful. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show, being so late. And I know this is our EXO After Dark show, but I just needed you to speak to the Never Ever Mets, because it's not all. It's nothing is not by. Everything to me is strategic and is purposeful, right? So the fact that this show made it to air with all this in it, to me it was purposeful, and it was for a reason. And so I want to make sure that we do our due diligence to offset some of the toxicity that this show has put into the system. And this is no disrespect to Una Murray or to Own. I'm just saying, as a Black woman who loves her community, when I see sisters operating in disease and mental trauma, speaking out and being applauded for for all the drama they're creating, I'm saying that's not okay. And so we brought you in as a way to kind of offset for our audience, because we work with them. We interview a lot of the cast. We actually had Aaron on before, but we had to do it. So I appreciate you rising to the challenge. And thank you so much, Dee, for that super chat for Coach Latonia. So if you could let people know where they can find you, if they aren't already. I'm sure most of our audience is, but if they are not,
follow me on Instagram, and don't just follow, engage, go through my posts, see if you see something that speaks to you. And oftentimes I don't do a special when I come on here, but because we're in such a precarious season. We just had a new moon in Gemini. We have 7 planets lined up. This is open door season, y'all. If you've been trying to make some moves in your life, you need to know specifically what moves you're making. I've created a frequency. I have a whole new way of reading you and actually looking at where you align in this particular season with Jupiter in Gemini for a year. Jupiter will be in Gemini for a year. This is a season to speak what you want into existence. This is a season to get close to the desires of your heart. This is a season to really develop communication skills. So if you go to the link in my bio, it's called the Making Moves Consult. And it's a special consult that I've created that's reduced less than half off to come and get a reading and just to see, okay, what's my next move when it comes to love, sex, and money. And so you can follow me there. But I'm Rebirth with Latonia on all platforms. So you can go to rebirthwithlatonia.info. I'm booked through the month of June, but you can absolutely get in line to get your spot for this special because I'm taking it down in 24 hours.
Hop on it, y'all.
There you go. Hop on it. Latonia, again, thank you so much. I need to get that myself because there's a lot going on. It's a big
You're gonna love this particular thing. It reads your whole aura, your body, your chakras, and the chakras give you information. So even if you all want to come in and hide in 30 minutes, baby, I would have read you from the top to bottom, 360 degrees all around.
Oh wow! I need to do that. So I appreciate it, and I definitely will reach out.
You know, I love me some you.
Yeah, I love you. You know, I love you.
You look so beautiful. I absolutely love this clean face.
Oh, thank you. This was Matt because Christal didn't have time to do makeup today.
You are glowing.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you, Latonia. You know that.
I love you too. Mo, you looking all right too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These ladies love them some Mo. When I tell you, Coach Latonia, they are hitting me on DMs and inboxes trying to get, because I think it's that they get a chance to see a man be honest, and then I get, he's not bad on the eyes, I say
right. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Latonia. We'll definitely be in touch and we'll have to have you come back.
All right. Thank you for having me. Be well, you all.
All right. Good night. All right. So
hey, real quick.
Yes.
Something that really it made some sense to me, and it made me make sense of the situation. I think I brought this to your attention before. Like, let's say you got into it with somebody, or I've gotten into it with somebody, let's say a week ago, right? Let's say I'm dating a woman, we get into it, and then I go to discuss it. I'm feeling away uncomfortable. I just want to like clear the air. And we start to talk about it. When she's talking, she says she was past it before, but as she's talking and we're bringing it back up, the emotions are coming into her like it or are spilling out, should I say, like it's happening in real time all over again.
Yeah.
And you had said something about like the article that you read. Like it triggers you and it puts them right back into that place.
They're experiencing that. That helped me.
I try to have conversations with people where that doesn't I don't know how to do that. I want to learn because it's like, I can do it, but I can't be responsible for someone else that if we talk about something that we went through or maybe I've done to them or whatever the case is, how, I got to figure out a way.
Well, I think the first thing I would ask you, just as a man and as my friend, we've gone through so much. You've seen me heartbroken. You've seen me at my lowest, broken. And just didn't believe at that point I had given up on love. So you've seen a lot, right? You've seen that in me and other friends of yours. But I know for you and I, you've seen what the effect of some actions can do to a woman. And so I would just ask you, because I feel like there's a huge, yes, life is unfair, right? And so when you're hurt by someone, it is your responsibility to heal yourself and to focus on that. But I also think there has to be some empathy and wisdom. And if you know that you have hurt someone, I would ask you as your friend, this is not even about this show. This is like if we were just talking to each other face to face, have some empathy and realize that even though you may be okay with it, you don't know how you have hurt that woman, right? You don't know what those actions have done. So approach the situation with a little bit more grace. Because sometimes I think men are like, well, she should get over it. But you saw in real time what happens to a woman that has been betrayed, right? And I remember you looked at me one day and you said, man, I hope one day a woman loves me like that. Because it was hard to watch, I'm sure. That is, and I'm not saying that you've done that to a woman, but I think that a lot of times men don't understand the depth, and because they're not feeling it, there's not as much empathy as there should be. So if she is hurt from something that you all have gone through, then maybe you need to, as opposed to talking to her, ask her, how does she feel? What does she want to talk about? How does she want to share? And allow her to do that without responding. Because if the point that it's really about you wanting to get to a better place, and it's not about who's right and who's wrong, it's really about how can we heal together. So you have to allow that person to kind of take the lead, because they're the one that's dealing with the pain. If I shoot you, I told you this before, if I shoot you and then say stop bleeding on the carpet, what's wrong with you? And you're like, stammering to get to the door, blood is everywhere, and I'm like, man, you're messing up the carpet, this is ridiculous, clean yourself up and get, like, that is the way it feels when a man hurts you and then wants you to be okay with the hurt.
Right.
Give her some grace and allow her to take the lead on that.
I mean,
if you did it,
then it could be something minor to something major, but I like what you said. I just think it's just I'm really about problem solving. I'm solution based.
But
so
that,
no, I got it. I got it. I'm just trying to tell you where I was coming from. Like, I'm always, I got to the point in some cases, I'm like, yo, don't bring it up to me unless you want to solve it, because it doesn't sound like, and you might not have the answers.
We need to rush. We need to bring Coach Latonia back.
Like it might, no, I'm just going through you with.
But I'm saying, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not cutting Mo off because I know I'm here to freaking chat. Quit cutting Mo off. Let Mo talk. But I'm saying, you're solution based. But if a person is hurting, they're just trying to gather themselves.
Right, but my thing is, gather enough to you, because at this point we're just transferring bad energy. Right? No, I'm not saying this is how I am. I'm just telling you how I got there. So what I'm saying is, in the past, I just go to, okay, and this is anybody. If I have a friend and they're coming to me, y'all, I'm like, my brain automatically, and most men even, but this could be a male friend, goes to, how do we solve that's what I do all day at my job. I solve problems. So
I think that's what men do. I think that's a male.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think it's wrong. It's not wrong that men are trying to solve problems. I've had that even with my male friends. When I tell you something, if I'm hurt, you try to figure out how to solve it. What I'm just saying is that when a person is hurt, the solving of the problem is not always the goal at the moment. The goal at the moment is that I'm in pain. Yes, I need to put a bandage on it. Yes, I need to put some antiseptic on it. Yes, but right now I just need you to acknowledge that I'm hurt.
It just like that. That's how it needs to come to me. That's how it needs to start or be framed. Because I don't know the difference. Because then if I don't do nothing, it's like, you're not saying nothing. What am I supposed to say?
Can you do me a favor?
Yeah.
The next time that situation happens,
it ain't going to happen a long time. But good.
I'm saying, the next time it does happen. And it will if you're in a relationship. Relationships are.
I don't plan on being in a relationship.
Oh, wow. You know.
I'm messing with you. Go ahead.
No, I know. But I think that we have to take ourselves out of our own. Relationships are about inconveniencing yourself.
Relationships about inconvenience. Okay.
I have to understand, because I love Adrian with all my heart.
Okay.
Yes, he gets on my nerves, and yes, I get on his nerves. But at the end of the day, I have to try to understand that his instinct is to fix things. So I say to him sometime when I need to tell him something, babe, I don't need you to fix this. Can you just listen?
I just said that. I just needed to be framed. You said you tell him. All I'm asking
but I'm asking you, can you allow her? I'm understanding that Adrian needs to fix. Right. That means Adrian needs to understand that I'm emotional.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? She can understand, but if she's hurting, Mo, she's the priority, and you don't tell a person how to frame their pain.
No, but you just said I'm gonna come to him and I'm going to say I don't need you to fix it.
I'm not, but that's different because I'm not in pain. I'm talking to you about if I'm venting something to him.
No, right. But
that's why I tried to give you the example of someone bleeding all over something.
But this is me coming to them. They told me they're over it, right? Or whatever, but I just feel the energy. So I'm initiating the conversation at this point. They're not. I am.
But are they still hurt?
I don't know. I just feel energy. Like, you know how a woman could be mad and you'd be like, what's wrong? Nothing. What's wrong? Nothing. You'd be like, yo, yeah, you can tell. You could be in a car driving somewhere and they're usually talkative and they're quiet. So I see at this point, okay, she's not possibly over this thing from last week. So I initiate, not her initiating, I initiate. Yeah. And then I'm like, look, whatever we went through last week, last month, or whatever you feeling, this is, and I'm talking. Yeah. And if they like, listen, and then they turn around and say whatever they're going to say, but while they're saying it, that's when they get, like, it triggers something. Yeah. And at that point, so we're back to them now, and that's cool. I'm just trying to, like I said, solution, and most men, like you just said, most men are.
But if you want to be a leader, and most men want to be the leaders in their relationship. Now, if you don't want to be the leader, then you can say, I am a fixer and that's what I do. And you don't have to consider
if I don't want to be a leader, I say that, you said?
Yes, I'm saying if you don't want to be the leader, because to whom much is given, much is required. And for me, as the leader in my company, I have to put myself at a disadvantage and cater to people that work for me. That sucks. But guess what? You pay the cost to be the boss. So if a man wants to be the leader in the relationship, then he has to understand that if I ask her something and she's hurting, I have to put her feelings before my instinct. Now, if you don't want to lead, then keep focusing on what's good for you. But
that seems like it would be the other way around.
It's not.
I'm not saying it is. I just said it seems like.
Unfortunately, leadership sucks to a big degree. When guess what? When one of my employees or some people that work for me mess up, guess who has to pay for it? Me. If a client is late and doesn't pay me on time, guess who still has to pay the client? The people that work for me. Me. It sucks. So I don't have a big staff no more.
If it's the other way around and I have the problem, but I'm supposed to be a leader. So what does the leader do when they have a problem? If I can't come to her and try to correct the problems that she has, that means that she's correcting all the problems and I'm correcting nothing but listening.
That's not true. That's not what I'm saying.
But no, I'm asking.
I'm saying if you have a problem, then you need to present it to her. I think leadership, you have to be a great server in order to be a great leader. So you have to have the ability to go in and acknowledge to her what you have going on.
But I can't acknowledge her problems. And if I do, I got to listen and wait for her. I'm just like, at some point, somebody's got to come up there. And all I'm saying is, I'm trying to figure out what it is, or at least if it's framed and I'm listening, if you come, and that's just any situation. Some people I don't know. And to me, even I might not have the answer. But my thing is to you, a woman comes to me with a problem with me. She has a problem with me and says, Mo, this is how I'm feeling. I'm not sitting up there, well, you do this, you do. Know what I do? And this works. And I would tell this to anybody, male or female. Uh-huh. The first thing I say, and I wish I could call somebody right now. The first thing I say is, how can I fix it? I don't sit up there and point fingers at other people and say, you. I might not know how to fix it, but I'm asking, how can I fix it?
But unfortunately, Mo, how you handle something is not going to be how another person handles it. I could just say, well, Mo, yeah, she should do the same thing as you do. I guess that's what you want to hear, but I'm not going to tell you that because we're really, really friends. And regardless of what people say, I'm going to tell you the truth. And the truth is, you don't get to tell other people how to explain and interpret their pain. None of us.
No, but they have a problem with me now. I'm trying to understand the difference. At first, I was giving you a scenario of I'm having we're trying to figure out. I'm saying now the problem is me. They have a problem with something I do. So
Okay.
I'm saying at this point, okay, Mo, you do, okay, you feel that way because I might not feel it, but I might not have felt like I did that, but they're feeling that way. I don't want to ignore your feelings, whether I felt like I did something wrong. I still want to know how, okay, what do I need to do? How can I fix that? I might agree or disagree with how you
Ooh,
think,
child.
but I'm framing it because I'm coming to you not being defensive. I'm coming
Right.
to you trying to work it out.
I understand that. And I understand that. All I'm saying is that you have to say, and it could be a good way to say this because both sides are right. Hey, I understand that you have a problem with me. I want to hear how you're feeling. Can you share with me how you're feeling? And then can you share with me what you would want from me to fix this?
Gotcha.
That feels like it's validating her problem and her pain. Because a lot of times what it feels like is men are trying to rush you past the pain and get to what's the solution? Get over to crying. What are we going to do? You going to fix it or not? That is condescending. So what I'm saying to you is, and say to her, because sometimes if we just say it, it actually lets the person hear, I am hearing you. I want to hear how you feel. And then I would love you to tell me what I can do to help fix this. And then let the ball be in her court. And then you guys go from there because that's going to take down some of that. When you tell a person, I want to hear how do you feel? And then get to the point, and then you give me your what do you want from me? What do you need from me in order to fix this? That takes down some of her anger and fighting because it's like, okay, now I'm being heard. Because a lot of times we don't feel like our pain is heard. Yes, I want to get to the solution, but I want you to know that I'm hurt. I want you to acknowledge that I'm hurt. Once you
I can see that. That's why I brought it up.
Well,
I'm messing with you. I got you. I wanted to get to say, I got you. That's fair. Like I said, I'm just asking. I mean, I'm not in that situation, but I know that's.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Though, does that make sense?
No, I get, like, I'm trying to learn. Like, I have no way of practicing this now, but if I've ever
I have a sneaky suspicion that you could make a couple of calls and be smack dab in the middle of this conversation today.
I don't know what you talking about. No, but it just when you brought that up to that article, it just made me think about like how we deal with one another when there's conflict, and because obviously nobody's a mind reader, and I feel energy, so I'm usually in the situations I'm in the first one to bring it up, or if it does come to me while they're talking, I'm and like I said, maybe I need to practice more patience, but I'm just trying to change the energy because I might not be feeling mad but now I'm mad. So now the energy transferred from you to me, and now we got two mad people here. And I just try to alleviate that as much as possible and keep it in a concentrated area and fix that. Because now once I'm mad, we gotta fix you and we gotta fix me. And I just try to keep.
If you could probably practice understanding, and that's one thing I will give Adrian credit for this. Mm-hmm. He does not, well, sometimes he blows up, but for the most part, he is very patient.
Okay.
And he will, if I'm upset about something, he can allow me to get it out without reacting.
Okay.
So I think that if a person is hurting, you have to hold your emotions out of it. That's just a part of being in a relationship. I won't even say being a leader because maybe it's 50-50. Maybe everybody likes to be whatever works for your relationship. Maybe it's not about leading. Maybe everybody is following. I don't know. But what I do know is that in any relationship, the chat be taking me there. I swear I be trying to be the most, I be trying to be more the bigger person, but Wusa. But no, if you are, so everyone is just following. No one has to lead. But if you love the person, then it's not about being right. And it's like, if she's hurt, then maybe you can see that she's hurting and have empathy and not get angry at how she articulates her hurt. And I really appreciate the fact that Adrian is able to do that. That's probably why we're together, because now both of us probably are Libras and laid back in certain issues. So he's extremely patient, and he does not respond like that to things. He'll listen. And in the same token, I try to do the same thing with him. But I think that patience, relationships are not easy, because it does take you putting yourself at a disadvantage. You have to put yourself, people, I say this, and I know we got to get ready to get off because it's midnight. But I think that unless you are willing to sacrifice and put the other person first, you're not ready to be in a relationship. I'm not saying put them first all the time and be a doormat for them. But what I'm saying is, if you see them hurting, you have to be willing to focus on them and not focus on yourself.
No,
So many of us are not willing to do that. It's like, well, you're hurt. Well, I'm hurt too. Well, and it's like two toddlers. That's not going to ever be a successful relationship. You have to be willing to say, you know what? And I'm not saying it should go all the ways to the woman being hurt. Sometimes the man can be hurt. And you need a woman that is able to do more than look pretty, and able to say, you know what? Hey, I care about how he feels. And if he's telling me this, I need to listen. That it has to be both ways. It has to be both ways, but you have to be willing to sometimes sacrifice your ego, or it won't work.
You heard that, man? I got you.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I got you. I got you. I was just asking. I don't know. I ain't going through none of this shit, but I got you.
You are gonna do it, and you're gonna do it.
No, I'm saying I'm not going through it this present moment. I mean, it'll eventually happen, but I just was asking. That's all.
Ooh, child. Mo, get it. We understand that men think differently. And I'm sure men understand that women think differently, right? I don't think that any women are, well, I don't know. I'm not expecting men to think like us, but guess what? I think like a woman and he thinks like a man. So a woman doesn't have to be the only one catering to the man. In a relationship, they have to cater to each other.
Bingo.
Not going to be all, oh my God, he's a man, so he can just do whatever he wants. And no, if he's a man, but he wants to be in a relationship and he's mature enough, then he's going to try to understand and do what he can to be a soft space for you. And if you're a woman who is mature enough, then you do the same thing. But I am not going to excuse bad behavior just because, oh, he's a man, that's how men are. No, I don't want you to act like a woman, but I do want you to have empathy for your woman. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Absolutely. The key word is my woman, not random, just my woman.
But if you're sleeping with them.
What is the sleeping with the?
No. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying when you said not just any woman, not any random woman, my woman, but when you are creating soul ties with people, then sometimes those people end up getting hurt and not understanding that they're not being seen as a real woman. They're being seen a lot of people don't know that they're collateral damage. And I think my opinion is when you create a lot of collateral damage, then karma has a way of revisiting you with that. So I think you have to be, and I'm not speaking about Mo now, I'm just speaking in general, because I know he doesn't do that. We've talked about that anymore. Like he's very, very, we laugh and joke on this show, but this really is just, but the point is, men that are using the sex and sleeping with women and hurting them, and then getting upset when the women are actually hurt, that's hypocritical. So karma has a way of circling back around and saying hello.
Hello.
Ooh, BBL Drizzy. So tomorrow we are going to the TLC Outcast concert. I cannot wait. Well, actually, before that, I am hosting an event at the state capitol, which I wish you could have came because Adrian is being given an award. He's on a panel.
Damn it, man.
But I didn't tell you, and I know you're like not a person that does a lot of things in one day.
Well, you could be anyway.
It's tomorrow, and it's just the day is jam packed. So I'm hosting this event from 12 to 3, and then we have the concert with TLC and Goody Mob,
right,
and Brownstone, and so we will share some clips from that. That is going to be a great weekend. Mo and some of our other friends are coming. Like I said, my honey bunny is getting an award for, his service. And
Congratulations to AJ on that too.
congratulations to my honey. The concert is in Stockbridge. If you haven't got your tickets, I don't know what to tell you because I believe they're all sold out. But there may be, I'm not sure, but we did press the last few days here. And I'm actually going to put up a video because Chili was doing press earlier today and said that I was the best publicist in the world. I have worked my behind off for her this week and T-Boz. And so they will be in concert tomorrow. And then on Sunday, they will be receiving the billion streams plaque from Pandora. And also, if you live in Stockbridge, Tamika, then you need to come on out to the bridge.
Come on out to
the bridge because we will be there. We will all be there having a good time. And trust me, after this week of work and everything else that has happened, I need to enjoy. We did press all day, Goody Mob. We had so much fun. And so I hope that that you guys, if you're in Stockbridge or in Atlanta, will come. For those of you that are not, we will go. I'm sure we'll have some good footage. Maybe we can get Mo to go live on his Instagram and share some stuff. Why? I didn't. Haitian Empress, if you look here, I'm gonna tell you this, Mama. If you are in Stockbridge and you can come out tomorrow, please just send me a DM, okay? On Instagram. I will definitely. We enjoy you so much, but yeah, if you're in Stockbridge, please let me know. DM me on IG or DMO. For tomorrow, but it's going to be a good time. And you guys know we're going to share clips and everything. I'll get some clips from Gun Boss getting his award as well. I'm really proud of him and extremely happy for him because he's a guy. My husband's a military vet, 20 years in the military, does not used to expressing his feelings at all. And he is on a panel for men talking about mental health, and I'm so proud of him. So
it's mental health, mental health month, by the way, as well.
It is. It's mental, and that's why he's there. He's going on there on that panel because there are a lot of veterans. He was deployed 2 or 3 times, and there is a lot of veterans that deal with PTSD. He deals with PTSD. He wouldn't be upset with me sharing that. But I'm so proud of him coming out of his shell and really, opening himself up. I think when you're with the person that you're supposed to be with, you make each other better. Haitian Empress, you're not on social media, girl. Can you DM? Can you? I don't know how to give you my information. But if you I'm on Facebook. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but if you can give me your information, I'll make sure to get you in some type of way because you've been a day one and we appreciate you. But yeah, so you guys stay tuned for that. We will be back. On next week. I'm not sure if it's going to be Monday, but we'll definitely be back with our
Dating Diary
Marriage Huntsville recap. And I'm going to be interviewing Destiny. We're going to be doing a sit down interview, so you do not want to miss that. Please stay tuned and please make sure that you are subscribed because this sit down with Destiny, we're going to talk about all this situation with you know who. We're going to get into it. Again, I want to thank Coach Latonia for being an amazing light.
Thank you, Coach Latonia.
Right. And I just, I want to thank my friend because I think we have conversations that can help other people, even if it's sometimes uncomfortable. And like I said before earlier tonight, this is a 20-something year friendship. It's not, I'm never going to say anything or treat Mo any kind of way to where he would feel disrespected. And I know vice versa. So we want you guys in on it. But at the end of the day, we friends for real. So it's not going to be, we can't be pit against each other or anything like that. That will never work.
That won't happen.
Yeah. So in any case, I will see you tomorrow.
Yes.
And we will definitely be sharing some more with you guys. And actually we have an event that's coming up. So we'll share that with you guys next week. We got a new event that's happening here in Atlanta. So stay tuned for that. But yes, hey, you 7 her 3. Destiny is going to be with me next week. So from Destiny from Love and Marriage Huntsville. So stay tuned. we're gonna get to it. We're gonna get down and dirty and get the real of it, and it's gonna be a good conversation. I can't wait. So yes, please like on your way out. It doesn't take anything to like, guys. It doesn't cost anything. Takes nothing to just click that like on the way out. If you have a comment, share your comment. If you guys are watching this on the replay, please leave your comment.
A nice one. Whoa.
God. And make sure you like the video. And if you want us to talk about something specific when it comes to relationships, please let us know, because we would love to get into, if you have, things that you want to address, we want to address the things that we feel like can help our audience. Thank you, Mo Get It. Thank you, Tina Bree. Thank you. Hey, you 7 Her 3 girl. I love your consistency. We love your comments. All of you guys, we really appreciate you more than you know.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what? Haitian Empress. Yeah. How come we have had all kinds of conversation in this chat? Everything. We have talked about everything. Coach Latonia came in and dropped some gems, and y'all have still managed to circle back around to that man's dental hygiene. And I'm not going to do that. Good night, everyone. We love you. Have a blessed weekend. If you're in Atlanta, come party with TLC and Goody Mob. It's the reunion of the Dungeon family.
There you go.
It's going to be a lot of fun. If not, make sure you stay tuned. We'll keep you posted. We love you guys. We'll see you on next week.
Out of here. Have a great weekend, y'all.